Halloween parade, bro. It's like the one night of the year where we fit in. Cool.
Get back here. What part of moving the shadows don't you understand?
I've never seen anything like this before.
Guys, I got a lead on what's going on.
Sensei Shredder.
This what I was building on.
This is gonna be good!
You're a rhinoceros!
And you're a...
Huh. I'm a little piggy.
Whoa, whoa.
Hey, fellas!
What's your name?
Casey Jones.
Hey.
Did you two guys like a thing? If the purple ooze can turn humans into animals,
It's on, baby!
it could turn us into humans. I mean, we don't have to be stuck down here forever.
If there's a chance that'd make us human, we're turtles, whether you like it or not. Gear up, guys. This isn't working!
We keep failing.
Keep the team unified, and you shall always succeed.
Here we go! Let's light them up. Go, go, go! I don't know if this is such a good plan.
Don't go getting soft on me now. Oh, this is awesome!
Yes, 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 yes!
Is it coming in kind of fast? That went well.
I don't know if I was supposed to come out here. I just followed you up here.
Yeah, that's the right scene. You got it right there. Look at that trailer, guys. Wasn't that trailer awesome? Man,
Yeah.
I'm pumped. Well, I've already seen it, so I know it's awesome, but that trailer is fantastic. So, Stephen Amell, here we go. You come into the franchise at the new Casey Jones. So, what was your first introduction to the Ninja Turtles and the whole franchise? Was it the toys, the cartoons?
It was the live action films in the early 90s. We would go, right? They hit me in like 5th grade. Even at that point,
Funny.
my brain couldn't fully understand, how are they going to do that? I don't get it. And so we would go, we'd watch the movies, and then we would go back and eat cheese pizza until at least one person barfed. That's what you did.
That's great.
Okay,
That's
the
great.
internet didn't exist yet. That's all we had.
What do you remember of the Casey Jones of those movies? I mean, did you go back and watch those? Did you do your own thing? Yeah.
So my favorite movie is the first movie. I mean, I think people have an affinity for the second movie, The Secret of the Ooze, because of the Vanilla Ice rap.
It's a great rap.
That movie was pretty bad. And so when I booked the role, my wife is like, "This is awesome. Let's go back and watch the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles." And I'm like, "Cass, we can't. We can't." And she goes, "Why?" And I go, "Because I just remember shapes from that movie. I remember general notes from that movie. I can't go watch Elias Koteas play Casey Jones because then somewhere in my mind I will feel like I'm doing an imitation."
Right.
So now I can watch it because we're done.
So, I mean, you grew up in Canada. I mean, did you already play hockey? Did you have the familiarity with a hockey stick that Casey
You
Jones
have to
rocks?
have at
Yeah.
least a basic set of hockey skills to maintain your citizenship.
They take your passport away if you don't have it.
That's
Yeah.
right. I'm sorry, sir. Could you skate backwards for me, please? You can't come in. No, I played hockey growing up until I was maybe 13, 14, and then started doing some other sports, but it came back to me pretty quick.
Yeah.
And I always had a good slap shot.
Right.
So there we go.
But as a kid, you weren't hitting kids with hockey sticks or anything like that. So there was some new skills with the hockey
No, I
stick.
probably was. I feel like I was maybe one of the only 8-year-olds to ever get into a fight during a hockey game.
Nice.
But
More on that?
No. It was important that Casey had an interesting style and that it felt like it grew out of what a fight would look like on a hockey rink. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and so tell me a little bit about, getting back into the swing of the, having a hockey stick. Did you carry it around? What were you doing?
I walked around Manhattan with it for 2 days. And people were like, what are you doing? Hey, Arrow, why are you holding a hockey stick? And I'm playing Casey Jones. No, I fully did.
Excuse.
I walked around. I wanted to make sure that it looked like I was super comfortable with a hockey stick.
Yeah, you look at it in the scenes. You have a couple fights with it. You do a couple slap shots. So on set, were you really using it? Was
Yeah,
that
big
really
time.
you?
Yeah, and it was a practical stick. They tried to give me a rubber stick for a bunch of stop it. Just give me the regular stick, please.
I'm Canadian. Get that away from me.
Get that away. Get that away. I don't like it.
So you were doing slap shots for real and everything like that?
We were
with
doing
the
slap
lanyard?
shots for real, and I mean, obviously, I wasn't slapping a puck that whizzed by Megan Fox's head, but at the same time, I even turned to the producers at one point because you'll see in my first fight scene with the Foot Clan, they swing a samurai sword, and I block it with a hockey stick. Okay. That's not how the
Not
world
practical.
works, guys.
Don't try that at home.
And
Absolutely.
I turned to the producers and I'm like, are people going to buy the idea that this hockey stick just blocked a samurai sword? Right. And the producer goes, well, it's Casey Jones's hockey stick. I said, logic.
It's a super hockey stick for sure.
Right. That's right.
And there's a couple scenes where you take guys out with pucks. So were you hitting those pucks? I mean, were you really nailing those, or because it looks just looks really good.
Well, I nailed the pucks, but where they ended up was probably CGI. Although I did actually, there's a scene at the end of the movie, not to spoil anything, where I do throw something up in the air and hit it with a hockey stick, and they were like, "Nah, don't throw anything. We'll do it CGI." How dare you? Give me 6 takes. I'll nail it. Nailed it on the second take.
Nice. Let's give it a hand for that. Absolutely. So, the first movie was fantastic. The first movie, is Shredder. It's the Foot Clan. It's pretty by the numbers Ninja Turtles. It's what we've seen before. This one, whole new stakes. The world's in jeopardy. There's, the introduction of new bad guys. Tell me a little bit about being on this set. Was it as insane to be a part of this?
So much fun on the set of this movie, and I feel like it comes across. When you watch it. But you alluded to a good point, which is that the baseline of this movie, and I feel like we made a fun superhero movie, and that we leaned into the idea of doing a Turtles movie, but at the same time, the baseline of this movie is Shredder's revenge. Turtles took him down in the first movie. And when you watch the movie, it doesn't even really feel like it has a beginning, a middle, and an end, because it starts with Shredder's trying to break out of prison. Spoiler alert, he does. And, sorry, are we live? But he's coming back at the Turtles, but it's not just Shredder. And it's not just the Foot Clan. It's Krang. Right. And it's super soldiers, and it immediately raises the stakes and just creates a whole new set of levels for this movie.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, obviously there's as much, like you were saying with the slap shot and the hockey stick, there's much practical that you can do, but there's a lot that you can't do. So you're not acting against like 10-foot tall Ninja Turtles. So how is it to sort of get in that, to find that urgency when you're acting against maybe a guy with a bunch of dots on his head?
Well, look, Jeremy, Pete, Noel, and Alan will never get the credit that
the
they
actors
deserve.
behind the Ninja Turtles.
The actors behind the Ninja
Real
Turtles.
guys.
They will never, ever, ever get the credit for how much of the Turtles they bring into the performance. Like, there's a line in the movie where Mikey looks at some people and goes, "We're not monsters." Right. And I watched Noel at the monitors do this, and he looks stupid because he has dots all over his face and all these cameras pointing towards him. But I told him he looked stupid in person.
There's no secret. He is out there.
They know. They know. They made fun of me on the first day, and then the second day when I rolled into makeup at 7:25 a.m. and they had been there for an hour and a half, and I rolled out at 7:31. I was like, "Hey guys, enjoy your day, okay?" They bring so much of the nuances to the Turtles. So anyway, acting with them, the only thing that you have to focus on is because they're a little bit taller than they are in real life.
Right.
You're not looking at them in the eyes. You're looking at ping pong balls that are above their head, which is just a trick that you have to get used to. Yeah. I turned to Megan on I don't know, the first day, I'm like, this is tough. She goes, what's tough? And I said, it's tough looking at these ping pong balls instead of looking at people in the eyes, like my parents taught me, Megan. And she goes, try looking at Optimus Prime, who's 4 stories tall and nothing was there.
Yeah, she's got a lot of experience. She has some tips.
Touche, Megan Fox. Point for you.
Do you guys ever like find yourselves just sort of cracking up though at the fact of some of the ridiculous points of it that these guys are in these outfits and you're trying to joke around with them?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we just had fun, man. When we were in the turtle lair, there's a scene where Casey and Raphael, who have a long history in the comics of having confrontation and actually also in the original film. And there was this one line where he goes, what are you, chicken? And I have to walk up to him and say, who you calling chicken, turtle? And which,
it's a great line.
By the way, was probably one of the highlights of my entire career. But Pablo, our VFX guy, was like, hey, man, I know how this shot's going to work, and I'd love Alan to be there in the mocap suit, but we got to do it with nothing there for this one particular shot. So I have to walk up and just there was literally nothing there. I look like a drunk guy yelling at a street lamp, and came out, ended up in the movie, and there's a 9-foot turtle in front of me. So apparently Pablo's a wizard.
Yeah, and tell me a little bit about shooting here in New York. I mean, this is where the movie takes place. This is our city. Representing New York. I mean, tell us about that.
Filming in New York City was a dream of mine. I've always wanted to film in New York City. Going back to watching movies like Ghostbusters, and so the very first scene that I shot at the movie, we shot at 42nd Street and 6th Avenue. I had to pull my car around the corner to the southeast corner there. And, when I shoot Arrow up in Vancouver, when we shoot in the street, we just close the street. And close the street in New York City? No. There's thousands of people.
People have places to be in New York City.
Exactly right. What are they doing? They filming a movie? Which one? I don't care. I got to go. And so, by the way, that's the only time I'll ever do a New York accent.
It's a great New York accent, actually.
So anyway, I pull my car up. There are thousands of people. And I can totally handle people yelling, hey, Steven, all that stuff. I can handle it. Keeping in mind, this is also my very first scene in the movie. And on my first take, one of those sightseeing buses pulled up right as I got out of the car. And the guy on the microphone goes, and that would appear to be Stephen Amell filming Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. What the hell
You're
am
part
I
of a
supposed to
tour.
do? I just waved. I was like, hey, guys, all right, take 2, here we go.
They cut you a check or anything for that sightseeing crew? I mean, that's crazy.
This happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
I like to go running in the Hollywood Hills, and when you go to Hollywood, there are these very famous open
the
door
TMZ,
tours,
Star Tours, all those things.
and I've been stopped by those things 11 times. And the guy will be like, "Hey, Steven, I'm a big fan of Arrow. This is great." And I always walk up and see the tourists, and I'm like, "This is what these tours are always like.
Right.
You guys will probably see Clooney in the next 5 minutes. Make sure you tip this guy."
Absolutely. That's great. I mean, I feel like people would be upset if I didn't start talking about Arrow. I mean, what did you take? There we go. Absolutely. Great character, great series.
Thanks, man.
Tell us a little bit about what you brought from that character into this role and how that sort of helped you. I mean, obviously, you've got the shape. You're staying in shape for that role. You're playing the superhero.
The shape?
The shape, the superhero shape,
Okay.
the tough guy. So tell me a little bit about what you brought from that character into this role. Was there any overlaps between Casey Jones and Arrow?
I don't think so, actually. And I know that probably a couple of people here in the audience have seen the movie. Yes. And any similarities? No.
There we go.
That was
your answer.
By the
You're
way,
crowdsourcing
that
answers now.
almost went horribly wrong. If you just heard, kinda.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, I mean, I read the script for the first time, and I'll never forget reading the script. And I didn't read the script until 5-6 days before we started shooting because they were very secretive about it and all that stuff. And I finally demanded, I'm like, guys, I need to read the script, please, please, please. And I read the script, and I'm like, oh, man, this movie looks amazing. Wait a minute. Where's the shirtless scene? And I was literally I scrolled back through. I'm like, nope.
You figured there's going to be one, absolutely.
I figured there would be one for sure. Yeah. So I didn't actually have to keep the shape for this movie. I would just go for long runs on the Hudson River.
Down here in New York.
Yeah, I was staying at the Trump Soho, and I would run out to the river, and I would run north, and depending on what I had to shoot and how I was feeling, I would just keep going. I would make it to Harlem sometimes, and then turn around and come back.
It's crazy.
That was it. But as far as similarities go, I really wanted to make sure that I wasn't just coming out of this movie doing an Oliver Queen impersonation, because I do that enough. And the very first scene that we shot with a lot of dialogue was the scene where Casey meets the turtles for the first time. And there's no Oliver Queen in that, because Oliver Queen would see the turtles and he'd be like, "Oh, damn it." Whereas Casey sees the turtles and freaks out and thinks they're going to eat him, right? So, I don't think there's too much over.
Yeah, and the original, Casey Jones had the long hair. I mean, did you have any inclination to grow out the hair? But this guy's a completely.
I started shooting this 5 days after I wrapped season 3 of Arrow. My hair grows fast.
Yeah, there we go.
But not that fast. No, the thing that they did that really did me a good favor in this movie is that they gave Casey Jones a unique backstory within the entire lexicon of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is that he's a corrections officer. He's tried to play by the rules. He tried to color within the lines, and it just has not worked out for him. Yeah. And the fact that he is ambushed and laughed off the force is what initiates the idea that maybe he would take matters into his own hands.
Yeah.
So that was unique for me, and that really allowed me to make the Casey Jones character my own.
Yeah, he's not.
But that is also why he doesn't have long hair, because he's a corrections officer. You don't see many police officers with man buns.
That's true. That'd be an interesting look for sure.
You know what? If we got to bring Casey Jones back for another movie, if they're lucky enough,
I hope there is. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a lot of fun. It's a fun character.
If they're nice enough to have me back, I will try to grow the hair. Try.
Yeah, grow into that vigilante lifestyle. Start wearing.
That's it. Yeah, just if I get to come back, I'm just gonna rent a 1-bedroom apartment in Alphabet City and just start messing people up on a nightly basis.
I like that. We could use that. There's a lot of stuff here in New York to be corrected. Absolutely.
I've actually heard that Alphabet City has recently gentrified and that there's no problem.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of 5-star restaurants in Alphabet City now. Yeah, it's not like what it used to be. So let's talk a little bit about Arrow. You're getting the reactions from the finale. People are tweeting you up. I mean, where are you feeling where the character has been left so far and where Arrow's going to go?
Well, last season really felt like a series finale for us, where Felicity and I literally drove off into the sunset. And this does not feel like a series finale. This feels like a season finale. There's something that Oliver has been struggling with for the better part of 3 seasons, and he really comes to a decision tonight where I think he realizes that the world is not black and white, that there are shades of gray. We give everyone a little bit of a hook, all of the characters, going into season 5. Oliver has a pretty important moment towards the end of the episode.
Really?
And we leave the season in the exact same way that we left last season, except the exact opposite.
Oh, wow.
Does that make sense?
That's an interesting teaser there.
It'll make sense when you see it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, so are there going to be a lot of shocks? I mean, are there going to be a lot of sebs for the next season?
You know what? I would say that it's less shocking, and that the finale is more deliberate and purposefully deliberate. We have a moment in the finale that obviously could have been vengeful and aggressive, and the producers and the writers and the director and myself made the decision to make that moment incredibly considerate and almost emotionless.
Right.
So I think that people will enjoy that. I certainly enjoyed filming it.
Okay, nice.
And I think that we're setting ourselves up. Look, we've had to do a lot of work on Arrow over the past couple of years, introducing new shows, shepherding new projects, and Arrow is incredibly specific. It's not the same world as The Flash or Legends of Tomorrow or Supergirl. We are a street-level superhero show with no superpowers, and I think that there are things that we can do on Arrow that we do better than anyone else on television, but we haven't had an opportunity to really 100% focus on those things over the past couple of years.
Yeah.
And going into season 5, the idea, and this idea plays through the big villain of the year, is it's really our story is about Star City. It's not about Earth 2 or Earth 3 or time travel or Minneapolis, Minnesota.
It's hard to keep it all on
about,
track, yeah.
It's about Star City, and it's about the mission within that city. So in season 5, we get to do something that you can only do when you have a lot of runway behind you on a show. And all the discussions that I've had have made me very bullish for season 5.
I mean, so how far ahead do the writers and the creators let you in? Are you up to date with what they're thinking, or are they sort of letting you into it?
It depends on whether or not I want to know. Sometimes I ask, sometimes I want to know, sometimes I don't.
Really?
We've talked a lot about Oliver's flashbacks because they should. I mean, this is the last season of flashbacks, or at least the current construct of the flashbacks. And there's a big, long list of things that Oliver has to do before we find him where we found him at the inception point of our series. And the flashbacks are going to be busy this year. But obviously, going forward, if we get a 6th season, the basic makeup and the construct of the series will have to change.
Yeah. Are there any? I mean, you were talking about introducing all these characters and having new superheroes come through the universe. I mean, are there any other shows that you're watching that you're hoping you could have come into the Arrow universe? Or
We have enough.
you're doing a cap? You're saying that's a cap?
Yeah. I mean, unless Oliver's going to go off and join the Night's Watch, I feel like I'm full up on shows. That was a cross-network, cross-show pollination that I just
Absolutely, yeah, the Game of Thrones
did.
situation.
That's right.
No, so you're.
No, we have enough. I mean, Supergirl is established. Legends of Tomorrow is doing their thing. Flash is doing their thing, and obviously, the CW has an incredibly unique and almost unprecedented opportunity to do a big crossover event, which I'm sure that we will do. But we want to focus on doing Arrow stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And when do you guys start filming the next bit of it? Are you already
too soon?
Too soon?
I think we start back on July 5th.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. So I mean, what are you going to do with your interim time?
So the reason that I sound a little bit like Fran Drescher this morning is because I have been going all over the planet. Like I was in Kentucky, Miami, on to London, back to New York. I was in Toronto yesterday. I go to Australia tomorrow. Wow. I'm back here. I'm up to Philadelphia, and then I go to China at the end of the month. And it's really all about. I mean, Turtles is a global brand, and I'm just trying to be the best ambassador possible for Paramount, and I would like the movie to do well.
Absolutely, everybody go out there and see it, spread the word,
Yeah.
And,
By the way, I told you in the green room that I thought that I was coming here for like a taped interview.
Right.
And you're like, and then we'll introduce you to the studio audience. The what? The what?
What's going on here? But you're rolling with it.
This is way better, by the way.
Better,
this is way better.
Great crowd.
I don't know if I would have.
Yeah. And lastly, I mean,
if I had known about this, I don't know if I had a mimosa at breakfast, but still.
I think it helped. I think it
Thank
helped
you.
out the situation. So we have a couple questions in the audience. Here we go.
We're going to start with a question from an online viewer. So Diane would like to know, what was it like to work with Michael Bay and Megan Fox? Have you worked with either of them before?
I had never worked with Megan Fox, obviously. She was a veteran of movies like this, and I was able to lean on her for advice. Michael Bay, he and I had only met via FaceTime just after I'd gotten the role, and we actually did a little bit of additional photography for the movie, and he shot it, and he operated the camera. And we got probably 5 hours of work done in 38 or 39 minutes. It was a whirlwind experience. And the first time that you see Casey Jones in the movie and I'm in the cab and I'm talking, we altered those scenes a little bit in terms of, once the movie all cut together, they wanted something a little bit different. And all that stuff was stuff that he shot. And he was basically sitting on my lap with a camera right in my face. And he's incredibly specific with what he wants, and really, really cool to watch him work.
Hi.
Hey.
So first off, happy National Wine Day. I know you have not.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Keep that in mind later.
There we go.
But so as we know, sorry, I had to write it down, so I wouldn't.
That's
forget.
okay.
So as we know, you not only have gained notoriety from several TV shows and now TMNT, you're also known for your film philanthropy and having one of the most successful charitable events on Represent. Do you feel it's your responsibility as well as a well-known actor to bring certain causes to light and promote certain charities? And do you believe everyone in the public spotlight has the responsibility to do the same?
Well, to answer your second question first, no, I don't. I feel like you know, live your life, do your thing, work hard. If that means being private and not, you know, not doing charitable endeavors, that's totally okay. And for me, charity and philanthropic work is just something that I've fallen into. I feel like I define myself by doing things that I'm passionate about. And every once in a while, I will see something, and it will speak to me, and I'll feel like I have a platform, I could do something. And no matter how many times I do it, I've got to say, I am always just so blown away and taken aback by just the absolute total generosity of people and the way that they react to a cause if they feel like the person that they are following towards it is passionate about it. You know, the amount of people that have supported, can we swear? No.
Yes, we can.
The
There we go. We're getting the nod.
The amount of people that have supported the Fuck Cancer campaign and the amount of people that supported the Sincerely campaign and you know, whether it be raising money for a family, you know, there are things that I've been able to do through my Facebook page that I've never even made public. And it fills me up inside. It makes me happy. And bottom line is that ever since I had a baby girl, I'm an incredible softie, right? So when I find things that I'm passionate about, I do it. And I don't think that that's a standard that everyone should aspire to. I think that you should just do you. You're welcome.
I have to follow up. What has the baby girl seen the movie, the Ninja Turtles movie yet? Is she going to?
She hasn't seen it yet.
Yeah.
She was watching live with Kelly this morning. And Kelly said hi to her, and she how does Kelly know me? She's actually what she said as she was laying there nude eating breakfast in bed. But what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. She saw the scene where, you know, I spot Splinter in the lair, and I think he's a giant rat,
Right.
and then he takes me down.
Yeah.
And when I went down, she got really concerned. So I saw her at breakfast this morning, and she was like, "Are you okay?" And I went, "Maddie, it's just fine. The turtles tricked me." And she goes, "Silly dad. They tricked you."
That's great. Here we go.
Hey, Steven. Thanks for coming here. I can't wait to check out the film.
Thank you, man.
So we know Sheamus.
It opens on June 3rd.
June 3rd.
June
Absolutely.
3rd.
There we go.
Everybody, let's do it.
Watch it in 3D, guys. It's a great trip.
Okay.
Why not?
Or 2D.
That works too.
I'm
I'll
a
watch
2D
it
guy
both
myself.
ways. So we know the former WWE champion Sheamus is in the film, but that
Yeah.
wasn't the first time you had a wrestling crossover. We know that you competed at SummerSlam last year, in my opinion, gave one of the best celebrity performances since Lawrence Taylor taking on Bam Bam Bigelow.
That is
at
high
WrestleMania
praise, my
11.
friend.
So with all that being said, how did that business deal go down? And because Cody Rhodes got released from the WWE this
Yeah.
Monday, can we expect to maybe see a crossover into Arrow, because you guys have some unfinished business that you need to wrap up?
Well, I mean,
Throwing down the gauntlet.
fight Cody in the middle of the street. No. I haven't talked a lot about the behind-the-scenes stuff within the WWE because I have so much respect for the business and for Cody. But, you know, Cody, last Memorial Day weekend, I went out to Raw at the Nassau Coliseum, and Cody was there, and he's a big Arrow fan, and he was like, "Hey, man, I got it approved that I can hiss at you during the match when I come out." It makes sense if you're a wrestling fan. And I'm like, "Hey, this is great." And we got to go on this amazing adventure. And I know that he has a lot of things in store, and I would love to work with Cody again, but professionally, because I think that he is an incredibly talented performer, and I'm talking about as an actor. So I think that it would be amazing to have him on any of our DC properties, but whether we do or not, I think that he has a really bright and interesting career ahead of him. And then, you know, as for Sheamus was really interested in acting, and I was really, really interested in professional wrestling. So our first day on set, it would be like a back and forth. I'd ask a question about professional wrestling, and he would tell me something, and then I'd let him ask a question about acting, and it was our shared experiences, and we had such a good time filming. This was his first movie, and I thought he did an absolutely bang-up job. He was really good. Yeah. Thanks, man.
So we have one more question, I guess. Here we go.
Hi, Stephen. How are you?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm a real big fan. I'm just an honor to be here.
Thank you.
Seeing you here. I had a question for you about Code 8, that movie. Yeah. I wanted to know how you and Robbie came up with the idea, and congrats on getting about $2 million for that movie. That's a big honor. I just wanted to know how you guys came across. Did you guys just sit at the couch and just...
So Code 8 is a movie that we crowdfunded. We hope to raise $200,000. We raised $1.72 million. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so we did it. And the script is almost done for that. And we're going to be filming it as a feature film right around this time next year. And the idea was very, very simple. Our buddy Jeff Chan has had an opportunity to direct a variety of different things, and a couple of things that he had directed, he had a mandate for directing it, and then he had a studio that sort of changed their mind and pivoted, when he delivered the product. Now, I am a product of the studio system. I love Paramount, and I love Warner Brothers very much. Seriously. That being said, every once in a while, you got to make something that's personal to you. And we want to make a movie that is very personal to us. When you make big movies like Turtles, you have to make them for planet Earth. Do you know what I mean? And every once in a while, that on certain movies, and I don't think that it does it on this movie because we have so much fun with it, but to me, that sort of dulls the edges of movies a little bit sometimes. And with Code 8, we have the idea, and we have a very specific vision, and we're going to make it for us. If people like it, great. And if they don't, hopefully they still buy a ticket. However we release it, but it's very important. My favorite quote is actually from Lena Dunham. Obviously. Right? And Lena has a quote, and I don't know if it's her quote, but I always think about this, and she says that the personal is universal, and if too many people get involved in something, then it feels like nobody made it. So for Code 8, it's Jeff's vision, it's Jeff's script, it's Jeff's director's chair. Robbie and I are going to be actors in it and producers, and we're going to make something, hopefully, that's very cool.
That's great. Well, I can't wait for that.
Thank
you.
You
guys, I'm sure, can't wait for this. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #2, June 3rd, 2D or 3D, whichever way you want to see it. Thanks so much, Stephen Amell.
All right, guys. Thank you very much, everybody.